probably, and they talked about how, it's been proven so many times, and now you're starting to hear it more, but Edward was talking about this back in the 80s, that there truly is a type of coup or a conspiracy for the medical establishments to intentionally suppress cures for cancer, because cancer is a big business. I mean, multi-billion-dollar businesses a year, and they don't want to heal people because they can make more money off them dying. And Lance, I want you to, and this is a fact, and my mom, she was an ex-nurse, she just told me today, did you know that I think there is no case today for anybody with any severe form of cancer has never been cured from chemotherapy? Did you know that?
Well, that wouldn't surprise me one bit.
All it does is deter cancer from growing in your body, but it never actually remedies or reverses it. And I didn't know that until today. Actually, that's funny that we're talking about this, because I just mentioned that today. And then later on the radio, I was just going through the dial, and I hear on one of these public talk radios a guy ranting about the fact that there really is, and there's been millions, literally millions of documents that was presented to Congress about how there's these 12 medical establishments that work in sync, in unison, to actually suppress any kind of cure for cancer to ever going to the public eye. And if anybody ever does create it, then what they do is, they kill them and put a suicide note in their back pocket and make it look like a suicide.
Well, exactly, and that's what they've been doing since the beginning of the patriarchy, about 5,000 some odd years ago. And I will take that a little bit further for the listeners, because I have personally experienced this myself. Of having been given the HIV virus in 1983 by the World Health Organization. It was through a series of vaccinations, the hepatitis B study in San Francisco and New York. And since the statute of limitations has expired, there's nothing that one could do, and I wouldn't do anything anyway, because it's turned out to be one of the greatest gifts I have ever had in my life, to live with that Damocles sword hanging over my head for 29 years of having HIV, and the last 10 years or so being diagnosed with AIDS. So I have personally witnessed this, and I do believe that they manufactured that virus.
Oh, for sure.
And circulated it within the society, starting with the lowest common denominator, the people who were considered expendable, which is basically everybody, but in particular the immoral people, the homosexuals and the whores and the prostitutes and everybody else who is having venereal disease. So that's just how those people think, and we have to wake up and see this, because it's a fact. And many of us are living proof, and it's time that we all stood up and shared our own stories. Because that's what we came here to do.
Lance, and I totally agree with you, and that's kind of the frustration that I've had. That's one of the frustrations that I've had, just dealing with the situation. And by situation, I mean the world situation today, because you see so much, just BS, so much corruption, so much I guess immorality, to say the least, from the issuing from the government and all these alphabet agencies and the
churches and the Vatican and the royal families. I mean, it just goes on and on.
Right, and I mean, it really never stops. So the question is, what can one do, or a group of individuals do, to eradicate themselves? I mean, I can go on any of these subjects, because I've been in the fortunate company of a lot of the masters that teach this stuff. But the only answer. The only answer that I see is truly starting to create small communities of people and eradicating the concept of a federal idea, because people, as long as you're at the will of anybody that you can't personally talk to or personally touch, meaning that if you start hanging out in communities larger than several hundreds of people, then you just get this really despotic society like we have today. The government does everything wrong, and nobody can do a damn thing about it. And if you do, they'll just blast your head off, and everybody knows it's wrong. Nobody wants it. Nobody likes it. But what can you do at this point? There's not really much you can do. I always tell people, don't fight fire with fire. The government wants people to start attacking.
That's right.
They want to call out martial law. They want to do everything they can just to suppress people more. It's the best thing you can do for yourself is educate yourself, create communities, share ideas, share concepts, work on yourself spiritually through whatever medium you have to, whether it be through astrology, meditation, yoga, esoteric Christianity, whatever it may be. Educate yourself intellectually, intellectually, spiritually, and stay away from, very far away from anything mainstream or government.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I would just tag on to that it's important to turn within and to start working on the inner realms, which entail awakening the pineal gland, which is an inner eye, and that inner eye actually faces the opposite direction of our two physical eyes. And it has rods and cones, and it is looking into this ball of light, which is a star. We are that star, and we are all the stars. So by looking, when we focus outside of ourselves, we're trained to do that because it takes our focus and interest off of us and our own power, and we are sovereign beings. We are not victims that are controlled. We are actually gods, goddesses, and all that is in our own universe. So it's important to remember that if we're concerned about changing the system, the best way is to start within and changing ourselves. And
absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And then,
because
go ahead.
at the end, go ahead.
Well, then the projection which comes from us, which is everything we see, it's a synchronistic biofeedback loop of many loops, and it will begin to mirror back to us. The Essenes taught this, and it's just common sense when you start to awaken that the whole universe starts to mirror back the love, compassion, and the beauty, the awesome beauty that it is. And one connects to the divas and the fairies and the gods and goddesses, and they're all within us and without us at the same time. So there is perfect synchronicity and guidance when we start doing that, and that synchronicity is like landing lights on a plane. As it comes down at night, you can see the landing lights. Well, that is similar to the lights within that will guide us to that furthest star that shines the brightest.
Absolutely, and everything you said is absolutely right, and that's one of the tragedies of even, when we go back to how a lot of these higher echelons, they control the society. It's just through subtle implication is what I call it, through music, media, TV, the news, whatever medium they can, because if they keep pumping negative images, even if it's not true, even if it's BS, then people are going to think negatively. If you wake up in the morning and you saw that a child got its head blown off, that's the first impression that you get in your mind for that day. So you're going to naturally, unless you do something to correct it preventatively, do some kind of a meditation or some kind of a cleansing process, that's the energy that you're going to exude for that day. Even unconsciously, you might not know it.
Correct, and then, of course, it's a natural progression to numb oneself because there's so much of an assault on the senses. Everywhere we go, we are being assaulted literally on every level, the subtle level. We can't even get to the subtle levels because we can't perceive at the subtle level when we're living in big cities like Los Angeles. I'm sorry. But San Francisco, any big city.
Lance, that's exactly what I want to do. Just like you mentioned, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, getting to the subtle level because as long as you're in the rat race, you're trying to pay bills, you're trying to pay your cell phone bill, you're trying to pay your gas bill. There's really very little chance you could ever do that because you always have to go back out into the world, always back out into the battlefield. So any kind of spiritual progress you might have made in the X amount of hours that you were in by yourself in the room is nullified the second you step outside the house. Because you're kind of back in the war zone again, and that is that's kind of the central thesis of why I'm creating this place. It's really out in the middle of nowhere, which is great. Cell phone reception is almost nil, and
yeah, we found out the hard way, didn't we? Well, now can people come up there and visit and participate in the center now? Are there any facilities where they can stay and bring their sleeping bags or?
They could always bring their sleeping bags and tent. That's not an issue at all. I have one cabin up there, and I've brought several people actually over the last year up there, and we camp out. We'll do a little bonfire.
Oh wow!
We'll do I mean it's cool now. Even though I would say on a scale 1 to 100, it's probably about 40% complete right now.
Okay.
And one of the main things I'm actually looking for is a water well. A long story short, I was supposed to. I actually was in the process of drilling my own water well. And it went south. Unfortunately, I gave this guy probably about 75% of the money that I was supposed to. He messed up, and then he bailed out on me. That was about a year ago. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe somebody that's listening tonight will be able to help empower you in some way.
perhaps financially, perhaps with actual physical labor, or perhaps with just support.
If there's anybody out there that can help out with drilling water wells, I would absolutely love to talk to them, because that's one of my central cruxes right now that I'm having truly difficulty with. Setting up, solar panel system, even doing organic vegetable gardens, the pyramid architecture, none of that is an issue to me, and even dealing with the legalities of everything. But it's really, right now, it's the water well, and it's kind of like I'm in a rock and a hard place because I cannot move forward without water. Water is so important. You never realize it until you don't have it.
Well, that's funny that we were talking so much about water and distilled water and the rest of it, and here we are, get back on water again. Now, do you have a way that people can reach you through your website, thepyramidcenter.org?
Yeah, or they can reach me directly at just Joe, Joe, at thepyramidcenter.org.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I invite everyone that's listening today and in the future, when this is archived and wherever it goes, to support Joe in his work, because this is really important and wonderful work, and it's an opportunity for many people to become involved. And I'm sure that you have ways that people can actually physically come and do things on the property. Is that true?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, anybody can help out. I've actually, I've had a tremendous amount of people that were, very kind, very giving to me, that they came up there and they helped me out. People
Wonderful.
Just helping me clean up, helping me clean shrubs, road maintenance. Sometimes we all just go out there to hang out, and like I said, we do a little bonfire and stay the night. So if people want to come up and just help clean up, and I do that regularly, about once a month. They're more than welcome to. Email me, ask me any questions. I'm open. So you guys got my email, joe@thepyramidcenter.org.
Wonderful. If I lived closer to Los Angeles, I'd be up there in a heartbeat. This is just the kind of opportunity that I would have given I would have given a lot to find when I was, 18 to 20 to 30 to 40, and even when I'm 61 today. So, I'm kind of creating my own little Garden of Eden up here in Northern California in Gold Country. But I can't say enough wonderful things about what you're doing there and how important it is, and how empowering it will be for others who are, maybe they would like to detox from the city, or they just like to go up and experience the beauty of nature, kind of in an Anastasia-like environment. That I'm sure you've read the Anastasia Ringing Cedar series from Russia. Right. And there's so much that we can learn about and know, and in community, you just seem like such a wonderful person. I feel like I've known you all my life.
Thank you. Well, that's one of the another things. Just off topic, like you mentioned, community. Through a lot of the meditations and research that I've done, I came to the conclusion that at the end of the day, no matter what people do, when they try to make big money, or they try to drive nice cars or nice clothes, all they really are looking for is love. That's it, at the end of the day. And they can't get it through whatever means, because they have whatever experiences in their life, whatever inhibitions. And so they try to express that desire to want to be loved through either nice cars, nice houses, a big income, a nice job, or whatever happens. Mm-hmm. And consequently, it's kind of, the question always came to me, why even deal with those middlemen? Why not just get to the root of the problem, and have small communities where everybody can kind of join each other, help each other out, because at the end of the day, that's what everybody really wants anyways. They just want to be loved and accepted by everybody else, and everybody wants to work for everybody else. The government and all the media and the mediums that they present to people, it's just garbage, it's interference, it's noise, it's confusion, it's controlled chaos. I mean, it's really everything negative, and it's hard to see that because we're all indoctrinated into it since birth. But if you meditate on it, that's really the ultimate, the arcane ultimate card right there. That's what it really comes down to. So, a community concept is not, it has a lot more ramifications than just, running off into the mountain, but it really should be an example for a new modern society, because that's what people want anyways, and just on another side tangent, the reason I was saying is actually today I was mentoring, I mentor, sometimes every now and then when people ask me, I mentor, children or teenagers that are going through problems, that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and I do that because I think it's good, you know.